Hey, what's going on guys? This is Kedar here. $500 in rebates, $1,000 in the tax rebates, including low income earners, also high income earners. And according to the information we got, looks like the meetings are going positive. As told by the Governor Parson, they are representing a series of meetings with the Republican legislatures doing the largest tax cut in Missouri history and still being able to maintain education, healthcare and all the things. So according to the reports, so-called tax rebates are being proposed and the new stimulus check for 2022 are being considered. We have got some great news for Missouri, and Missouri governor pushes legislature to pass a stimulus check alternative. According to the reports, about $49 billion package may be distributed across the state. This new bill would finally begin allocating the unprecedented amount of surplus tax revenue to the taxpayers and various institutions across the state. He is thinking long-term and he wanted to provide a long-term support for the Missouri residents. So guys, today in this video we have got all the details on Missouri stimulus check update, stimulus package that you're looking for. So before we start this video, make sure to subscribe to our channel, turn on that bell notification so you'll never miss our latest videos, and make sure to hit that like. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. So according to the reports, so-called tax rebates are being proposed and the new stimulus check for 2022 that is are being considered. And according to the sources, Missouri governor pushes legislature to pass a stimulus check alternative. And when the largest budget in Missouri history was passed in the May with the support of the majority of state lawmakers, many expected that about $49 billion package would be soon signed and cash would be soon distributed across the state. And this package included support for educational facilities, school transportation, personal care, and even more $500 million in tax rebates. And well, this tax rebate seems like the new version of the government aid to the citizens, which originally introduced back in the 2020 and 2021, and many states are jumping onto the bandwagon similar to the Missouri. But there is a maybe, and the $500 million for the tax rebate was half of what the state house had originally sought, but the compromise bill ensured that Missouri could finally begin allocating its unprecedented amount of surplus tax revenue to the taxpayers and various institutions across the state. And well, under this bill, individual tax filers in the state would receive a $500 in rebates, and speaking of the married couples filing jointly, they would receive $1,000 in the tax rebates. And all Missouri residents earning less than $150,000 as an individual and less than $300,000 as a couple, well, they would have been eligible for this rebates. But this bill was ultimately voted by Governor Mike Parson. But then why the legislation was axed? Well, Governor Parson initially voted the $500 million legislative package from the state legislature in this July, and he argued that the provisions within the bill left out to the lower and higher income residents, that is Missouri residents. And Parson also suggested that this bill would only provide a temporary support that taxpayers require, but actually he thinks that taxpayers would require longer term relief instead. And since the rebate on tax liability would be prorated due to the program being underfunded, so therefore no taxpayer would receive advertised maximum rebate. So therefore many working Missouri residents, including low income earners, also high income earners and vulnerable populations, were now left out of this temporary relief measure entirely. And the statement from the governor's office reads that Governor Parson offered an alternative for state legislature, calling for a special session to discuss implementing permanent tax relief for all tax-paying Missouri residents. Also, the governor said they would help people cope with the record high inflation, historically high gas prices, and the rising cost of food on more long-term basis, rather than simply handling out the checks that would be spent so easily. He also said, "I have always advocated for the reducing Missouri tax burden and support the spirit of this legislation. However, the reality is we can do better for all Missouri taxpayers than the HB 2090. He also said, I want to focus on comprehensive and permanent tax reform package as said by Parson. And Governor added that permanent tax cut would provide real relief to the families, also the working class, small businesses and senior citizens across the country. Also, Governor Parson, so well, what's the current state of this legislature? What are they doing? Are they even trying to push? Well, Parson is still pushing hard, and the Governor Parson is renegotiating the provisions within the various legislative package proposed by the State House and Congress this year. A meeting with the Missouri House GOP Summer Caucus in the Branson on last Friday in order to discuss his plans and attending several of other gatherings throughout the August to drum up the support for his alternative plan. And according to his statement and according to the information we got, looks like the meetings are going positive as told by the Governor Parson to the journalist in the early August. They are representing a series of meetings with the Republican legislatures doing the largest tax cut in Missouri history and still being able to maintain education, healthcare and all the things that they are doing as said by Parson. Also, many reports revealed that how Missouri governor has called for help from one of the biggest champions of the tax cuts in the state, that is the Rex Sinquefield. Now, Sinquefield isn't just a champion of tax cuts, but it is also a prolific donor who has handed out more than $40 million to the candidates in Missouri over the last year. Parson enlisted this Sinquefield's support, encouraging him to meet the legislature and urge them to pass new legislation that cuts the tax across the board rather than handing out yet another stimulus check. In a series of meetings, Sinquefield also appeared alongside legendary economists. It's not the first time these three have worked together to pass a tax cut either. In 2019, many reporters revealed how Parson met with the Sinquefield and Lapper to discuss tax policy and whether the legislature will ultimately side with the governor and opt for long-term tax cut, however, is yet to be seen. While the tax cut is to pay over a longer period, this move could potentially open up conservative legislature in the state criticism from the Democratic opponents, and they may accuse them of slashing taxes for the rich. So Missouri governor is pushing hard to get this legislature passed and I hope this legislature would get passed as soon as possible, and he believes in rather than handling small stimulus payments that would get cashed out in just few months, things like that. He's thinking long term and he wanted to provide a long-term support for the Missouri residents. And if this one get finally passed, this new bill would finally begin allocating the unprecedented amount of surplus tax revenue to the taxpayers and various institutions across the state. Once we get any sort of update on this legislature, the new bill in the Missouri, the stimulus check, the package that you're looking for, I will keep you updated. So make sure to subscribe to our channel, turn on that bell notification so you'll never miss our latest stimulus updates. Make sure to hit that like, share this video, subscribe to our channel, and with that being said, this is Kedar from How To Guys signing out.